Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to another video. In this video, I want to do my Marvel Cinematic Universe rankings from worst to best. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, I did do this video with Mitch, who's a guy who's been on my channel. If you obviously subscribe to my channel, you've seen him up here. We've done videos talking about these comic movies, the TV shows. We did the ranking on his channel, and that's the bottom line views. I will put a link to his channel down in the description. It was a pretty lengthy video. We kind of, we went in depth about each of these movies. Some I had to kind of really think about it just because you try to forget about shit movies. That's usually what you try to do. You try to forget about shit movies. You only think about the good ones. So we kind of really talked about that. And this one, I do have, my list is mostly the same, but I do have some changes. But I'm going to quickly get into it. At 16, I have The Incredible Hulk, which came out in 2008. And I was fighting with 16 and 15. And honestly, they're at the bottom. So what does it matter which one? As you say, one is less shittier than the other, pretty much. This movie's garbage. Okay, good things. The Hulk fight scenes, stuff with the Hulk in it, that's great. The Hulk's awesome. That's what you go to watch this movie for. It's Incredible Hulk. You want to see the Hulk, right? The guy that plays Bruce Banner, trash. Betty, trash. She's not even that appealing on the eyes. She's not even that good looking on the eyes to me. So, that also hurts. The movie, it should have been better. But what the mainstream knows about Hulk, they know as a mindless brute, which for the most part, yeah, he is. But he has some good stories. Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, at this point they can't do it just because of all the legal stuff with the solo Hulk movies. So it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in terms of the solo Hulk movie. So he's only gonna have this trash. And I understand why they changed the Bruce Banner actor to Mark Ruffalo playing Bruce Banner in the current movies. The movies going on now. The other guy was garbage. Now, the guy that played Ross, who you saw in Civil War, he was great. You saw him in Civil War. He was good in that too, the time he was there. And that's about it. Oh, Robert Downey was at the end. Yay. This movie sucks. On to number 15. Thor Dark World. Now, just like Incredible Hulk, I went back and watched this. I actually went back and watched this. When I go through it, sometimes I skim through it because, you about to go to sleep. You either fighting through going to sleep or fucking vomiting and watching this trash. Now, Thor, I'm already annoyed that the fact that Thor is a fucking weakling in the MCU. He's a weakling, at least in comparison to the comics. Now, a lot of people won't see that. See him wielding the hammer and stuff. People think he's a normal man without the hammer. These movies have fucked up everything. But this movie, now I give the first one kind of a pass just because it's an origin story. People, really learning about the character. And there was some growth in terms of the character, in terms of the supporting character. So I give it a pass for that. But this one, nah. This is your chance to really throw out a villain. Which the first one does have a good villain. First one does have a good villain, Loki. Loki's one of the better villains inside MCU. Now, definitely give him credit for that. But this one, Malekith the Accursed, a lot of people don't remember him. You tell somebody who that was, they won't know. They won't know who it is. Who? Exactly. He's that forgettable. And he's actually a pretty good villain in the comics, but they did a really shit job with him. He got the whole ties to the MCU with the reality gem he brought back. He brought back all his people and whatnot. Why didn't he just destroy the damn planet? But the gem is the weakest shit in the MCU, so whatever. They're not their comic counterparts, so I understand that. So they had to use it for him to bring back his army. Other than that, you had some solid action. All these movies have pretty good action. Hell, even the Incredible Hulk, that's at the bottom of the list. That has good action. So you expect that. Jokes, really bad jokes. Does have Natalie Portman, she's great. like one when he's like in the subway or whatever. Garbage. Oh my gosh. Movie. I'm so close to putting this 16, but Incredible Hulk was so bad. Okay, yeah, I'm leaving it at 15. 15, Thor Dark World. Shit. Number 14, Thor. I'm just talking about this. Like Loki. Loki was great. Chris Hemsworth is great. I even give him credit with, Thor Dark World. He was great. He was still good. Just the movie around him was trash. This one is an origin story. You kind of learn about Thor. He gets his enchantment put on his hammer. You learn about humility and all that. And just because he's a douchebag, he was a douchebag at the beginning of this movie. So, Odin stripped his power. So for the most part, he didn't have his powers throughout the majority of the movie. So fair enough. At least he wasn't out there looking weak with his powers. So okay, that's pretty cool. And you have some build up between the characters. So this is definitely better than the original one, but it's still not that good. It's still really boring. And like I said, Hemsworth's good, and I'm really hoping they pull it off with Thor 3. Hiddleston as Loki, great. It was just boring. It was really boring. So that's at 14. At 13, you got Ant-Man. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for having this movie this low. A lot of people really like this movie. I don't. Paul Rudd, never liked him. Shouldn't he be in a movie with Adam Sandler? It's just a bunch of slapstick comedy. It just seems like he's the type of guy that, that's the type of stuff he's in. I just don't, he doesn't fit. As many jokes as they try to tell in these movies, you think he would fit. He just doesn't fit. Now, he has some good moments. I'll give him that. The one thing I can say about this movie, it has some of the most unique fight scenes in the entire MCU, aside from Doctor Strange. Fight scenes are really great in terms of shrinking and all that. That's great. But I don't like Paul Rudd, so that hurts the movies if you don't like the main protagonist. Hank Pym's the old man, so they didn't go with the Hank Pym story. Hank Pym is a nobody in this. Well, not necessarily, but just because I don't like the movie, I'm going to say he's a nobody because I'm in the business of trashing these movies that's at the bottom. So, Hank Pym's old man, have no involvement with Ultron. Thanks for changing that up. And for the most part, so a lot of the characters in there are forgettable. Speaking of Paul Rudd, when in Civil War, Ant-Man, he had a scene we were talking about, like, I think when SpiderMan knocked him out or whatever, he was talking about orange slices. Trash. What are you talking about? It's one of the worst jokes in all of these movies. Entire MCU. One of the worst jokes, or whatever that was supposed to be. So it just shows you how trash he is. So I got this at 13. It was actually back at 14. I had Thor ahead of it. But, honestly, I could probably put Thor ahead of it. Fuck yeah, I'll do that. I'll just leave it there. I'll leave Ant-Man right there at 13 because I don't really feel like editing all that. So yeah, Ant-Man 13. At number 12, Iron Man 2. This is coming off really good Iron Man 1, which told the origin story. We saw Robert Downey as Iron Man for the first time. But this movie, main problem was villain. Iron Man's villains suck. Probably should have went with Crimson Dynamo, but they went with Whiplash. Trash. He was garbage. Now, Robert Downey's so damn good at that role. Him and Don Cheadle as War Machine, great. The scenes with them were great. And that's really what helps this, has this movie up to where I have it at. Just because their performances were good. Pepper was good. Black Widow, when she was in there, she had some really good action scenes. Those were good. It's just the villain. When you get into your second movie, you need a strong villain. Just because, you get a pass with the first one just because it's an origin story. People trying to learn more about the character. You're trying to establish the character as, this is what you wanted to be in this MCU. I mean, in this cinematic universe. And, they dropped the ball. You're gonna see that as a trend in the, of course, the next Iron Man movie. So I have Iron Man 2 at 12. At 11, I have Iron Man 3. Now, Mandarin being an actor was one of the worst choices they've made in this entire series, aside from casting Paul Rudd as a character in anything you're doing in your cinematic universe. It was bad. Now, I want to know who approved that. I just want to talk. I just want to talk for a second. Who approved having Mandarin as an actor? Also, The Extremist. What was that? What was that? The best thing about this movie, outside of Robert Downey Jr. being pretty good, as usual, the suits at the end fighting. When he remotely calls in the suits, that's pretty good. And honestly, 12, 11, you can switch either or, doesn't matter. I just think they're both bad, and the only reason they're that high, Robert Downey so damn good at what the role he's playing. That's why he made all that money. That's why that movie made all that money, just because they went to see him, and rightfully so. He is Iron Man. It's just, I'm looking at it as a whole. The movie around him, average, mediocre. Can honestly say probably bad. At number 10, we have Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, this movie kind of goes by the wayside just because of how good Winter Soldier is, how good Civil War is. So a lot of people tend to forget about this one. But I think it's an okay movie. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan, but I think it's an okay movie. The actress that plays Peggy Carter, she's pretty good. She got the TV show that ran 2 seasons, ended up getting canceled, but it was pretty much talking about the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's pretty good. Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, underrated as Red Skull, just because people forget about this movie. So I don't necessarily have a lot of really bad things to say about it. Honestly, it's like I said, it's an okay movie. It's just not as good as the other ones, and I kind of think that's why people put it a little bit lower on the list. Or at least this is about midway. So you run into the okay, mediocre thing. It's not very memorable. It's okay, but it's not very memorable. If you get what I'm saying. So that's at number Captain America: The First Avengers at number 10. At number 9, Age of Ultron. The Avengers. And this coming off the huge Avengers, which is still their highest grossing film, made them a boatload of cash, and really put the MCU on, it really put them up there. All these characters coming together on the big screen, live action. We never seen anything like, we never seen a continuity lead up to something like that with that first Avengers. And then we get this, which is a good movie, but it's a letdown. It's a letdown. I feel as though, the action's great, the interaction between the characters is great, but it's not as good as the first one when they first meet. It's just not as good. Just watch both of them. 'Cause I actually went back and watched both of them. Just watch both of them and you'll see. You'll fucking see. Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, that was just Disney. Like, man, we paid them all this money to get them in our cinematic universe. We damn sure we're gonna put them in here. Which, they of course have a purpose. Which Quicksilver's purpose is to run fast and catch bullets with his body. So, Scarlet Witch, she had the power. Her whole thing was kind of messing with everyone's mind, which was actually pretty good. I do like that. The team actually lost the fight, and you saw them go through things like that. Ultron was, I didn't like what they did with Ultron. Like, it was emotional. I didn't care about that. I just wanted him to be a mindless machine who just wanted to destroy everything. Like, he literally paying guys for vibranium. Why would Ultron pay guys for vibranium when he could just take it from them? I'm just saying, like, Ultron, he still had the motive of wanting to kill all the humans or whatever, but the Ultron comics, cold, ruthless, He probably would have never gotten the help of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, honestly. Vision's good. I do like the inclusion of Vision. I thought they did a really good job with the CG and everything. So I think this is a good movie, but Ultron was a big letdown. It's overall not as impactful as the first one. I think that's why a lot of people have it lower on their list, just because the first one was really good. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, as you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is further since I named this one, haven't named the other one. I was being a complete shithead in my review of it when I said Volume 2 is better. Watching it again, no. Villain's better, but overall, I felt the dialogue was better in Guardian, the first one. The jokes were better, and for the most part. And it felt like more of a grand story just because of the gems were involved directly into that story. It was the power gem was involved directly into that story. So that one, it was better. Now, like I said, the villain, Ronan the Accuser, too bland, man. They could have came up with they could have got somebody else, man. An Annihilus maybe, but no, I don't think they have rights to him. Never mind. Fuck Disney, man. But this one is not better than the first one. Just after rewatching them, the soundtrack is also better for the first one, which is a lot of, you can honestly argue the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is the best of all these movies. You can make a strong case for it. But I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at 8, right in the smack dab middle. At 7, people are going to get mad about this one, SpiderMan Homecoming. Now, I did a review, talked about it like crazy. Not going to really stay on it too long. I think this is a good movie. I just don't think it's as good as people are saying, just because it felt more like the anime than, maybe I'm just too caught up on the, I wanted to be more like the original one. They tried to best to distance it from those earlier Spider-Man movies, which is fair. I just didn't like Peter didn't seem independent. He didn't really become independent to the end of the movie. Okay, the movie's over. The movie's over, dickhead. Now you don't want his help when he shows you the Iron Spider suit. Okay, but still, he has a suit, all the gadgets. So now he didn't make any of those gadgets. Spider Sense. What was that? Oh, and also, I don't think he punched or kicked the person in that movie. Say what now? It was mostly web, which is that's what he does. But he's like, think of a guy that strong, when he be punching and kicking people. That doesn't necessarily hurt the movie. I felt little Keaton, Tom Holland were good. Everyone else was garbage for the most part. Aunt May, but I'm not gonna get started. If you see my review, you know how I feel about it. But good movie. Hopefully the second one can be a lot better now that he's gonna be on his own and get an Iron Man's up out of there. Love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but to me, I feel as though his inclusion hurt this movie. Just the fact that he was still there, he was still talked about, and Peter was trying to impress him for the first half of the movie. Okay. At number 6, we have Doctor Strange, which came out the end of last year. Now, I'm a Doctor Strange fan, but I'm usually fair, and I didn't give this a super high score, but I felt as though the visuals, honestly, Guardians is the only movie you can honestly argue visuals. And Doctor Strange Returns are abstract and all the different weird shit that goes on. It reminds me of the comics. A lot of people talk about Batman Begins and all that. Well, if you go back and read the Doctor Strange comics, Ra's al Ghul didn't come out till after Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange Origins has always been this way. You go look at the comics, you go look at a lot of different things that just the different planes. He could go anywhere. There's no telling the places that he goes, the way it'll look. So I really thought they really captured the comics from that. Some casting choices. The Ancient One. That was more issues than just what they did with that casting. There was a lot of racial issues with that. Not necessarily in the casting, but just because of the race of the Ancient One. There was a lot of things going on with that, but I'm not gonna get into that. But outside of that, I thought it was a good movie. Surprising ending. Surprising ending, unique battle, unique fights, and Benedict Cumberbatch. When I first saw him as Doctor Strange, it just kind of like in the whole full costume. I was like, yeah, he's gonna nail it. I felt as though he did nail it. So we'll wait to see him in Infinity War. The second time we'll see him. At number 5, got Guardians of the Galaxy. Kind of talked about it in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but that's at number 5. At number 4, you have Iron Man, the first one. Origin stories told well. Robert Downey was great, and he carried the movie. You didn't really have to have a great villain because it was about him. It was about showing who Iron Man is, and Robert Downey. That's why he's making the big money now. So, yeah, Iron Man's at number 4. At number 3, we have Civil War. Civil War had to balance the most characters until Infinity War comes out. But Civil War, you had to balance all the Avengers, that was in, that was in Winter Soldier, that was in, pretty much all the other movies outside of Thor and Hulk, who were pretty much MIA. They had to balance all those characters while adding in Black Panther, who has become so popular now, even after his trailer for his movie that's coming out next year, and SpiderMan, who, of course, came out with the movie. And they did a really good job of giving these characters screen time. The airport scene is probably one of the better fight scenes, if not the best fight scene in the entire cinematic universe, where all these different characters got spots, and you didn't feel anyone was left out. Anyone. Even AntMan, who I hate. Cinematic Universe AntMan. He got his spots. So, Civil War 3, really good movie. Zemo, I remember saying you didn't really need him in there, and I still hold to that. But I think he was the driving force behind the Avengers essentially breaking up. And he's actually underrated for what he is in the movie. He's obviously completely different in the comics. But this movie can't follow the comics. The comics are too grand. Way too many things going on. There's licenses that they don't even have that were in the comics. So it was impossible to duplicate what happened in the comics. Honestly. At number 2, I have The Avengers. Came out in 2012. This movie is really good. Went back and watched it. And the interaction between the characters, they first meeting, the actors had chemistry. Like, they were sitting in the room, there was no action going on, and they were just fussing at each other. It was essentially Loki manipulating them, but Loki was great. Coulson was good. He was kind of like the engine to, kind of like what glued them together, even after the different spats and stuff like that. The movie was good. I always like to see the little team up attacks. I don't know why. It reminds me of the Ultimate Alliance video games, and of course the comics. But I felt this movie was really good, and it was coming into, people didn't think this was gonna work with all these different characters, and it worked. Characters got screen time. Hawkeye, people know who Hawkeye is now. Black Widow, of course they seen Iron Man 2, but they saw Hawkeye and Thor, but Thor's a bad movie. So was Iron Man 2, but Iron Man 2 is better than Thor. So, and plus she's a woman. Scarlett Johansson's fine. So, you're going to remember her more often. But, Avengers, really good. And, and if I would have did a score back then, I thought it might have been lower than what I would probably put it at now. I'm not going to give a number because I'm going to end up changing that number, so I'm not going to even give one. At number 1, pretty much I guess this is Winter Soldier. And I'm still staying pat. All these movies come out, I still think Winter Soldier is the best movie they've had. I can't think of you can think of flaw for each of these movies. Obviously, you get to the top 5, the flaws become smaller. A little bit harder to find a flaw. But I felt as though this movie, captured your spy espionage, also being, kind of like it had heavy, they had drama in it while being also a superhero movie. You had Hydra. We found out Hydra was in S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time. You had some really good performances. And I felt as though more so than Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson had way better chemistry in this movie than Ruffalo and Johansson had in Age of Ultron, which is another thing that hurt that movie. Was the forced relationship, which was bad. I really thought if you're gonna do a relationship between any of the Avengers characters, it should have been Chris Evans as Cap and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. They would have, I think that's the one they should have done. But everybody's great. Nick Fury, Winter Soldier, he's kind of that sympathetic villain. He's getting a lot of people don't bring him up, but I'm gonna use him. He was a villain in that movie. He was part of Hydra, brainwashed or not. He was still out there killing people. He still tried to kill Nick Fury. Got pretty damn close. But overall, action scenes, the choreography, Russo brothers this movie's a masterpiece. But that's at number 1. We got number 7. Of course, it's 16. We got number 17, which is Thor Ragnarok, coming out at the end of this year. 18, 18 is Black Panther. 19 is Infinity War. And I believe they showed some footage of Infinity War, but I don't think the public got to see it. I could be wrong. I just haven't seen it, but I'll definitely go check that out. This video went a lot longer than I expected it to, but I just wanted to talk about, quickly talk about this on my channel. Of course, just to get more, because there was more things I wanted to say, and as you see, there was more things I want to say. Also, the changes helped. I was even thinking about changing it during this video, but decided against it. But if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Give me your rankings from worst to best. And subscribe. Thanks for watching.